Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Ask Sibs. Already up to episode 8. Time is flying. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's more of like a trip down memory lane of some of the travels, which of course we've all not really been able to do as much. I've certainly not even left Cambridgeshire since last February, almost a year, which as a avid traveller has been quite difficult. Obviously, I've been keeping myself busy with more sort of things digital related and traveling the world, you could argue, digitally. But yeah, it was nice to just reflect on that particular trip to Finland and doing the husky dog sledding in minus 32 degrees. So if you missed that one, feel free to catch up on yesterday's episode later on. And so, yeah, switching gears again, I'm going to be answering what are some time management tips. As I said, I'm really keen to answer your questions on all sorts of topics from entrepreneurship, business, leadership, management, social media, influencer marketing, and a bit like yesterday, some of my passions around football, around travel, adventure. So, yeah, just anything really that you're interested to know a little bit more from my experiences. But I'm also really, really hopeful that all of these Ask Sibs episodes give you some kind of value, whether that's just entertainment or something really fundamental, for a practical nuts and bolts kind of value as well. And so, yeah, I was thinking about something in the more work and the management side. And I think for me, one of the most important things of being an effective entrepreneur, since I've mentioned a few times, I left my sort of employed status back in 2011. So for coming up 10 years, actually, I've done more of the self-employed freelance entrepreneurial side. And, there were times where probably I even put travel more ahead of business and money. And so I just made sure that I earned enough freelance income to cover my expenses. But then I had more free time to be doing all these amazing travels and explore these beautiful places. But definitely the last sort of more recent years, I did a lot of the travels, really enjoyed them, but didn't feel the need to be on the go and traveling as much. But also really, really got excited and into the whole entrepreneur business side and the sort of tech startup scale fast world. And so it's just been a dream come true to be working in that world. And I think to have been able to have overseen as many different consultancy clients, community projects. At Purple Goat now, we've got lots of different clients and campaigns we're doing. I've really had to upskill around time management. And I put on the description that my answer might surprise you. And the reason is that I don't think anyone can give like one or two tips that are definitely going to be right for everybody. I think in a way you could argue a tip is self-awareness. And from that point, you can start to understand where you know that you do struggle with time management and come up with your own solutions. I know that may not sound very helpful, but believe me, it's more helpful and empowering for you to have that self-awareness and do that in your own, like an audit of your own time, your own difficulties and challenges, and find your own solutions. Whereas I could tell you, and I will tell you in a minute, what I do actually use that are more tools and techniques. But yeah, let's just be really honest and open. They may not work for you. And so I don't want my experience to then cause more problems for your own time management. But yeah, in the same vein, I think some of the experiences I have, you'll definitely resonate with, and some of the answers may well be the right solution. But I think that the surprising part of this video was just to say that you really, really have to find your own answers, and nobody on the internet that is claiming to have the answers, to be honest, is probably very trustworthy. They may mean well, but I think that in the end, and I've been there, I've followed other people and I've done courses and I've followed it to the exact point by point that they did and still found myself struggling. So yeah, it's not to knock the content other people put out, but it's just to say, be inspired by the other people, and hopefully by this video, be inspired by the content, but have that accountability for yourself to find the true answers for you. So for me, as you're also aware, being with my disability, I have to have funding for a care team that help me to get dressed, get out of bed, have a bath, do physio. So just in terms of my daily routine, there's a lot goes into the very early part where it's, literally someone has either stayed overnight to help turn me in the night, or they've arrived first thing to help start getting me up. So I have to be very on the ball around my sort of routine and schedule, because it has to connect with the care team and have the sort of shifts and the rota. And as I mentioned, the funding in place so that I know I can then pay them for doing the care support. So for me and for other disabled entrepreneurs, there's definitely something around being very organized to do with independent living, people that have health considerations around pain management or other medication have to be very organized around that. So I think there's a hat tip to all the disabled entrepreneurs watching around the health management and the independent living management that is a given. Like, that has to be in place before we're even talking about entrepreneurship or being in a job for an employer. It's all similar in the end, isn't it? So yeah, it's definitely for me, there's just being organized and planning those areas. Now, in the more general entrepreneur side, I say people have different ways of doing it. I never used to really take notes. I've always had quite a good memory, and I never used to use a calendar. I'd almost just commit stuff to memory. But that was a little bit sort of, coming out of uni, going into work. And I think, quite quickly you realize that you can have a photographic memory, but it's still definitely useful for the calendar. So I guess a more tangible tip, pretty obvious, but I use Google Calendar, and every meeting goes in there. And so it's a good way of then not looking at my day when I wake up, what I've got to do that day. And then when I'm planning and scheduling meetings, I can look to the next week or two, if I've got much time, what my priorities are. So I guess that's another tip, is actually understanding what the overall objective or goal or priorities are for you as a person or for the business. And then you can make decisions and judgments when you've got all that inbound, you've got direct messages, you've got emails, you've got phone calls, you've got all sorts of things and requests for, speaking gigs and for taking a random networking call. Obviously, then there's the other stuff like internal team meetings, partnership meetings, client meetings. So I think, you have to have a real handle over those bigger picture objectives, and cut out sort of parts of the week to make sure you've got time not on meetings to get stuff done. And then the meetings that you are taking are sort of with not the right people. I mean, I've taken random network meetings that led to really great friendships and partnerships. So I definitely think there should be that space for new things and being open to the unknown. But you probably have to be a little bit clever about how often you take those calls versus, just getting things done that you've committed to and you've promised other people and you're accountable to. So definitely around the calendar. Also on the calendar, I do a lot of reminders for particular things if necessary, whether that's, birthday presents for friends and family, but also could be similar personal things that in the work world that you just want to check in with someone and acknowledge something like a birthday. But of course, reminders like that big deadline. And then, I guess that there are all sorts of different other time management apps and tips that if you do a Google, there'll be millions of blogs and YouTubes that will go through all sorts of top apps and other types of top tips that I'd more than love you to go and find if you need that kind of tangible, structured support. But I think really the point of this video today was to audit yourself. What are you good at within time management? Do you have a good memory? Do you need to have the things like the calendars or post-it notes? Are you more digital or actually more sort of things around the room stuck on the wall? For me, digital is best because I can't really handwrite and I can't reach beyond my wheelchair to do the sort of vision boards and the post-it notes and post-it reminders. So for me, digital is always more practical, but you may feel different. It may not be an app. It might just be, a good old-fashioned notebook and a calendar on the wall and all that sort of stuff. But overall, just think what's the objective in your personal and professional life? How do you make sure you're always where you need to be and you're always delivering what you promise you'll deliver? And then find the answers that are suitable for you on a personal level. So I hope that was useful. Let me know your feedback. How do you find, time management? Is it something you feel you're good at? Is it something you struggle with? What kind of practices and tips do you have? I'd love to learn from you as well. Anything that, might be a bit new and fandangled. It's always good to learn about and share the love. But yeah, I hope today's post or live stream, or if you're watching later, the video was useful. And have a great day. The sun's out here in Cambridgeshire. Might be nice to try and get the dog out on his walk before the sun goes down. If I haven't got too many meetings, I have to go and check my calendar in a minute. And I will be back again tomorrow for the next episode of Ask Sibs. All right, take care.